Damn. Now I know we are missing something here, which is totally, sorry, my bad, threw me in for a loop. But let's go back to how Neville had founded the law of assumption, right? Let's go back to the beginning, because Neville's teacher was Abdullah. And now we forget that Abdullah was the one that taught Neville to change his state of consciousness. Now, I just was recently watching a video, and I don't know all the laws that Abdullah had talked about. But one thing I can honestly say that stood out to me is when he said a lot of us tend to give because we feel like the more I give, the more I receive. But the truth is, that's not true. The only reason it's not true is because if your state of consciousness is at when you give somebody something, for example, if somebody borrowed money from you, or you got to give money and you feel guilty about giving this money, or you feel like, damn, like you have that state of consciousness where you feel like you're not going to get it back. 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get it back. And a lot of the times we resent people, or we start to have this negative perception of money, because we think, or just not even just only money, just abundance in general. With love, it's the same thing. Oh, I give so much that I don't get back. But Abdullah had taught Neville that your state of consciousness is what you have to change. Now, I know you guys have heard this multiple times, but let's go back to the original teacher, right? Don't get me wrong. We talk a lot about Neville, but we never speak on Abdullah. We never talk about how he is the one who actually helped Neville to remember who he was. And this is how Neville Goddard became, because of the teachings that Abdullah had taught him. And this is something that really stands out to me, because a lot of the times we have this perception, this negative perception of money. I always hear people say, I don't have it like that. I'm broke. And when you say things like that, you don't realize that you are already choosing your state of consciousness. You are already choosing the reality where you're going to experience being broke. Because no matter how much you give, no matter if you come up into a lump sum of money, you're always going to be broke. Now, I know a lot of individuals will look at this and say, oh no, you got to be able to do more. The circumstances have to change. It's about you. It's about us. I would always give to people and wonder, why the fuck I ain't getting what I want back? Why did I give? Because I gave out of guilt. Because my state of consciousness, because I thought that no matter how many times I gave to people, people will fuck me over. And because of that, that's exactly what was reflected back to me in my reality. So this is something that a lot of us, we tend to miss, right? And this is where we have to break out of that. That's why I wanted to bring up Abdullah, because Abdullah was Neville's teacher. A lot of people talk about the Barbados situation. We also have a time where he said Neville was going through a time where before Neville Goddard even became Neville Goddard, he used to be at the same level that we were at. Okay. And the way he was at that level was because he felt as if though these circumstances that are happening to me outside of me, everything is happening to me. But then Neville started to realize, when he started to learn more from Abdullah, he stepped out of that and he realized that everything is actually happening through me. Right? So once he shifted out of his state of consciousness, the state of consciousness of lack, right? The state of consciousness of not feeling or being enough, right? And being able to experience the things that he wanted to, once he shifted out of the state of consciousness of guilt, that's when everything started to change in Neville Goddard's life, right? And so it really amazes me, because it had me thinking, damn, there's a reason why these things would happen to me. And now I understand why. Because I myself, I was thinking that the more I give, the more you receive. Because a lot of them, they teach us in the law of attraction, you got to be grateful, you got to do this, you got to, you know what I'm saying? You got to always give, because the more you give, you'll receive more abundance. But the truth is, that's not how it works. It's not. Because if you're giving from a place of lack, if you're giving from a place of guilt, if you're giving and you're saying, okay, I give $100 and I want, say if I want $1,000 or $2,000 back, whatever. Say you just want a large sum of money, or let's go 50,000. Say you want a large sum of money or whatever. And you want this money, but you are thinking to yourself, will I actually get it? Is it actually possible? Money is hard to come by. Money doesn't grow on trees. We're told all these things because at that moment, that's shifting us into a low vibrational mindset. And the way is we're looking at it from a negative standpoint. That's why we're always attracting more of what we don't want versus what we do want, right? And so you have to then change your perception. I don't give a fuck what's showing up. I don't care how many circumstances are piling up in front of your face. Until you look at it from a different state, you're going to continue to receive exactly it is what you don't want. Because you already have to assume that you are abundant. You have to already assume like you're wealthy. You have to already become love. All of these things, we've been taught to look at things as, oh, I got to work hard for this. I got to make sure I do this. I got to do it. And then you notice how when no matter how much you work hard, you still aren't getting where you want to be, or you're still not getting the results that you want to get. But it's really just you changing the state of consciousness that you're in. Because everything that you want with the law of assumption is already within you. You already have it, right? You, at this point, this is you claiming your prize, your possession, because this is for you simply because you exist. You shouldn't have to work so hard in order to receive the amount of money you want to receive, right? And see, that is where we become slaves to the rhythm. And Michael Jackson's song, that's when you become a slave to the rhythm, because you're constantly reprogramming your mindset, your subconscious, to believe that, no, this is what I cannot accept. Remember, me switching over into, because the law of attraction, I applied that too. Your consciousness is the 95%, which is creating everything that you want unconsciously in front of you. Therefore, your subconscious does not know the difference between what is real and what is not. Just like your subconscious does not know the difference between what is good and what is bad. Whatever you feed it internally is what's going to externalize into your reality and be reflected back to you. And this is exactly why I start to study this stuff. This is exactly why I start to teach myself and I actually apply the practices. Because one thing I've learned is that I've been around so many people that always say money is hard to come by, always say it's hard, I gotta go out there and do it, or you know what I'm saying, I don't have it like that. Okay, but my thing is, instead of you, why don't you trick your subconscious mind? Instead of you saying you don't have it like that, you could say, okay, this is my winning season. You could say something different, right? If you're not really going to shift into the identity of you already being abundant. Because if you want to experience the love you desire, if you want to experience the life you desire, if we want to experience these things, we have to change our state of consciousness. And until we do that, then we're going to continue to have the same results over and over again. It is a mindset. It is a shift. All it is a shift. And it's not saying that it can happen overnight. It can. If you choose and you say, this is what I want to experience versus this is what I don't want to experience, I want to experience a life where I'm at peace, a life where I'm fully abundant, a life where I am fully happy, right? You can choose to be happy despite the circumstances that are in front of you, because you choose your reality. You choose who you want to love. You choose what is for you, because you are the God of your reality. God gave us the blueprint, imagination. So whether you tend to believe it or not, understand that before Neville even remembered himself to be Neville Goddard, power of imagination, power of awareness, nigga, okay? Creating the imaginal acts, creating stats, because Neville had his own way of doing the LOA, right? Law of assumption, right? Just the way Abdullah taught him, he learned and then took those practices and actually decided to do it himself. He took the knowledge And he implied it. He applied it in his everyday life to get the results. And see, that's why Neville thought that the Bible was a psychological drama, which were characters were placed in front of you, not literally, but figuratively, in order for you to understand that this is all a story that is happening within your state of consciousness. In the Bible, where it talks about God has many mansions, therefore there are many realities, right? So if something is happening in your reality as of now, that means that the opposite is happening somewhere else. And so when I was listening to this, I was thinking to myself, this is what I'm gonna start doing. Instead of me giving, right? When I give, I'm not going to give out of lack. I'm not going to give out of guilt, because I know that money, I know that what I want is going to come back 10 times fold. Because it's not about you doing anything that is outside of you, but it's about you changing your mindset, starting to actually apply a mental diet, starting to shift your subconsciousness out of that low vibrational state. And for you to take accountability and recognize that the things that are happening to me throughout my life can simply change if I change. Once I change, because I am the God of my reality. Right? Stay with me. I am the God of my reality. See, a lot of people say, oh, I'm going to wait on the right person for God to send me the right person. I'm going to wait until this happens. I'm going to wait until you don't, baby. It's not about waiting for something to come to you. It's about remembering that it is within you. You are not separate from wealth. You are not separate from love, because it exists in consciousness. You are one with what you desire. We are one with what we desire. We are not separate. There is nothing that we are attracting outside of us. We are not shifting into a new version of ourselves, but remembering who we are. Right? And so understand, go back, don't just listen. I'm not saying don't listen to Neville. Absolutely. But remember how Neville Goddard became Neville Goddard. Right? See, we are living in the matrix, because we're told that we can't have what we want. We have to work super fucking duper hard. Everything that you want, everything that is happening to you is simply happening and being reflected to you because this is what you believe that you deserve. You are not feeling the worthiness, right? And I understand, because Abdullah said that you have to come from a place of I am worthy of this. And a lot of people have put a lot of spin on Neville's teachings, Abdullah's teachings. They put a lot of spin on it. And don't get me wrong. One thing I am going to say is you can put your own spin on it. Like when some of these coaches, when they talk about how, your SP's a puppet and all these other things. Okay, look, I'm going to tell you right now, everybody manifests differently, right? No, I do not see my specific person as a puppet. I do not believe she is a puppet. I believe she is unconditional. She is source because she is love. Because I see her unconditionally. Therefore, and I want to make a separate video too. I want to talk about this. At the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters is love. But one thing I want to go back to what I said. A lot of people take Neville Goddard's teachings and then they falsify it rather than actually telling you what he was actually saying. And that is the thing that makes me upset, right? Because I myself, I do watch a lot of content that talks about manifestation, that talks about the LOA. But when I listen, I like to listen to it. But I also like to read it, right? Read it. So stop continuing to put yourself in a box. Take a risk and step outside the box. Things started to shift in my reality once I started to change and shift my state of consciousness. Once I started to believe that I simply deserve these things because I simply exist. I got people telling me things. I got people coming up to me telling me I inspire them. I got people saying, hey, Alizé, like one of my coworkers just bought me food out of the blue and I didn't even expect them. I didn't ask him. I didn't do none of that. He just bought me food out of the blue and was like, Alizé, I just bought you food. I thought about you. But simply because I've shifted my state of consciousness and how I perceive myself, that's when everything started to change, because I am no longer operating from that place of lack, that place of not feeling enough. Just like with your specific person, stop looking at, instead of choosing the reality where they don't talk to you, where they don't fuck with you, choose the reality where they do fuck with you, because there is a reality that exists that is happening at that very moment. That is happening. You understand that you guys are one in the 4D. Your reality has already been set. It is already done. Everything that you want is inevitable. You've planted the seeds. Keep watering it every day and trusting and having faith and remembering that if things get shaky, if things start to test you, understand that there's going to be certain things, even if you have negative dreams about your specific person, even if you have negative dreams about money. That is the old story fizzing out. That is the old story dissolving itself before your breakthrough, before everything is shifting. It doesn't start as, oh my God, it's something huge, it's something big. No, it starts small. Somebody might buy you a cup of coffee. Somebody might say, damn, you look good today. Somebody might say, and you've been affirming, I'm a bad bitch. Yeah. Hell yeah. You might say, you know what? Damn. Shit. I need $20. Next thing you know, somebody cash out you 20 out the blue. Or more than that. But yeah, it's all about the state of consciousness. All right, peace.